India, the world's largest democracy, faces a growing threat: Godi Media. This term, meaning lapdog media, describes news outlets that prioritize government narratives over journalistic integrity. The rise of Godi Media has serious implications for India's democratic fabric, eroding public trust and hindering informed debate. This essay explores the origins of Godi Media, the mechanisms behind its influence, and its detrimental effects on Indian society. The growth of Godi Media is particularly concerning in the digital age. Social media platforms, while offering new avenues for information, have also become breeding grounds for misinformation and propaganda. Godi Media outlets exploit these platforms to amplify their biased narratives, further polarizing public opinion. This essay will delve into the dangers of this phenomenon and propose solutions to combat media bias and promote independent journalism in India. The stakes are high. A free and fair press is the cornerstone of any democracy. It holds power to account, informs the public, and facilitates meaningful discourse. Godi Media, however, undermines these crucial functions, jeopardizing the very foundations of India's democratic ideals. The term Godi Media gained prominence in recent years to describe a disturbing trend in Indian journalism. Godi, meaning lap, vividly illustrates the subservient relationship between certain media outlets and those in power. These outlets act as mouthpieces for the government, prioritizing favorable coverage over critical reporting. This phenomenon is not entirely new. However, the extent and brazenness of Godi Media have reached unprecedented levels. News channels and publications, once considered bastions of journalistic integrity, now routinely toe the government line, often resorting to sensationalism, misinformation, and character assassination to discredit dissenting voices. The rise of Godi Media is intrinsically linked to the increasing concentration of media ownership in the hands of a few powerful individuals and corporations with vested interests. This concentration of power allows for greater control over narratives and limits the diversity of perspectives available to the public. The consequences of this media capture are far-reaching, impacting not only the media landscape, but also the very functioning of Indian democracy. A key factor contributing to the rise of Godi Media is the growing influence of corporate interests in the media landscape. Large conglomerates, often with interests in various sectors, have acquired significant stakes in media companies. This ownership structure creates a conflict of interest, as media outlets may prioritize the business interests of their parent companies over journalistic integrity. For instance, a media house owned by a conglomerate with significant investments in infrastructure projects may hesitate to criticize government policies related to land acquisition or environmental regulations. Similarly, media outlets owned by individuals with close ties to the ruling party may shy away from reporting critically on government actions, fearing repercussions or jeopardizing their access to powerful individuals. This blurring of lines between media, business, and politics has created an environment where critical reporting is often suppressed or self-censored. Journalists who dare to challenge the official narrative risk being sidelined, harassed, or even losing their jobs. The result is a media landscape that prioritizes access over accountability, serving the interests of a select few at the expense of the public good. Financial dependencies further exacerbate the problem of Godi Media. Government advertising revenue plays a significant role in the financial health of many media outlets. This creates a perverse incentive for media houses to curry favor with the government by providing favorable coverage. Critical reporting, on the other hand, risks jeopardizing this crucial source of income. Furthermore, the government can use its financial clout to reward compliant media outlets and punish critical ones. This can take the form of preferential allocation of government advertising, favorable tax treatment, or even outright subsidies. Conversely, media outlets that challenge the government narrative may find themselves facing tax audits, bureaucratic hurdles, or even denial of licenses. This financial leverage gives the government significant influence over the media, effectively silencing dissent and promoting self-censorship. Journalists, aware of the financial consequences of critical reporting, may hesitate to pursue stories that could anger the government, leading to a chilling effect on investigative journalism and critical analysis. Section 5. Regulatory pressures silencing dissent. Beyond financial incentives, the government can also exert pressure on media outlets through regulatory mechanisms. Laws and regulations governing media ownership, content, and licensing can be used to target critical voices and stifle dissent. Vaguely worded laws, open to interpretation, can be weaponized to intimidate and silence journalists. For example, laws prohibiting sedition or inciting disaffection against the government can be used to target journalists who criticize government policies or expose corruption. Similarly, regulations governing foreign funding for NGOs can be used to target media organizations that receive international grants or support. The threat of legal action, fines, or even imprisonment creates a climate of fear and self-censorship within media organizations. Journalists may refrain from pursuing sensitive stories or expressing dissenting views, fearing retribution from the government. This chilling effect on free speech undermines the very foundations of a democratic society where open and critical debate is essential for holding power to account. Section 6. Examples and tactics manufacturing consent. Godi Media employs various tactics to manufacture consent and shape public opinion in favor of the government. These tactics range from subtle framing and agenda setting to blatant propaganda and misinformation. One common tactic is the selective amplification of news stories that portray the government in a positive light, while downplaying or ignoring stories that highlight government failures or shortcomings. Another tactic is the use of emotionally charged language and imagery to evoke fear, anger, or patriotism, often directed towards marginalized communities or perceived enemies of the state. This creates a climate of intolerance and division, making it difficult to engage in reasoned debate or challenge dominant narratives. Godi Media also relies heavily on personal attacks and character assassination to discredit dissenting voices. Journalists, activists, and academics who criticize the government are often labeled as anti-national, traitors, or foreign agents in an attempt to silence them and discourage others from speaking out. Section 7. Implications for democracy undermining accountability. The rise of Godi Media has profound implications for Indian democracy. A free and independent press is essential for holding power to account and ensuring transparency in governance. When media outlets become mouthpieces for the government, they fail to fulfill this crucial role, eroding public trust in institutions and undermining democratic processes. Godi Media also contributes to the polarization of society by amplifying divisive narratives and suppressing dissenting voices. This creates echo chambers where individuals are only exposed to information that confirms their existing biases, making it difficult to bridge divides and find common ground. Furthermore, the decline of investigative journalism and critical reporting allows corruption and malfeasance to flourish unchecked. Without a vigilant media holding power to account, those in positions of authority are more likely to abuse their power, leading to a decline in governance and a weakening of democratic norms. Section 8. Counter-arguments and rebuttals defending the indefensible. Despite the overwhelming evidence of media capture and its detrimental effects, defenders of Godi Media often resort to various counter-arguments to justify their actions. One common argument is that media outlets are simply reflecting the will of the people who have voted the current government into power. However, this argument ignores the fact that a significant portion of the population still opposes the government and that media outlets have a responsibility to represent diverse viewpoints, not just those of the ruling party. Another argument is that criticism of the government is tantamount to being anti-national and that media outlets have a patriotic duty to support the government. This argument conflates criticism with disloyalty and seeks to stifle dissent by equating it with treason. In a democracy, it is the duty of the media to hold power to account, regardless of who is in power. Finally, some argue that the government has the right to regulate the media to prevent the spread of fake news and misinformation. While combating misinformation is a legitimate concern, this argument is often used as a pretext to silence critical voices and suppress information that is unfavorable to the government. Section 9. Solutions: Reclaiming the Narrative. Combating the rise of Godi Media and reclaiming the narrative requires a multi-pronged approach. Strengthening regulatory frameworks to ensure media pluralism and prevent the concentration of media ownership in the hands of a few is crucial. This includes enacting and enforcing laws that promote transparency in media ownership, cross-media ownership restrictions, and independent oversight of media licensing and regulation. Supporting independent journalism is paramount. This includes providing financial assistance to independent media outlets, promoting media literacy among citizens, and creating an environment where journalists can operate without fear of reprisal. Citizens can play a vital role by supporting independent media outlets through subscriptions, donations, and amplifying their content. Finally, fostering media literacy is essential to empower citizens to critically evaluate information and identify bias. This includes incorporating media literacy into school curricula, promoting fact-checking initiatives, and raising awareness about the tactics used by Godi Media to manipulate public opinion. By empowering citizens to become discerning media consumers, we can create a more informed and resilient society, less susceptible to the influence of Godi Media.